welcome back from our break. We had a great first half of the morning, and I'm very excited for the second half. While all of you settle down into your seats, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for making today possible. Microsoft Advertising Exchange, Citrus Leaf, Proximic, Crystal Semantics, Pier 39, Datonics, and Netezza. Thank you all for making this such a great day. All right. Now I'd like to introduce you to someone very special. In 2004, he called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, Brian, you're the CTO of Right Media. I'd really like to have an informational interview with you, take you to lunch, learn more about Right Media." And I said, "Mike, I don't do informational interviews. Either interview or don't." And so he interviewed. He got the job at Right Media. And 7 years later, he's the co-founder and CTO of AppNexus. Here's Mike Nolet.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about innovation and innovation in the online advertising space. But before that, yes, we are going to announce something big today. We've heard some rumblings. There's been a couple little tweets. We've been working for the past 8 months on a new innovation that we think is going to change how online advertising works. But before we talk about that, I wanted to talk about some of the challenges that we've seen with innovation. So I love building technology. I love innovating. I love building cool technology. I love sitting down with the client and showing them some of these cool things. But innovation is hard in online advertising. If you look back at the last 10 years, yes, we've actually come a really long way, but think of how many cool technologies you've heard of, that you saw a glimpse of, that aren't really mainstream technologies, that aren't some tools that everybody here is using. For example, let's talk about dynamic creatives, right? There's a couple companies that built great technologies, TerraSend, Dapper, Tumri. These companies struggled and actually became successful and then quickly got acquired. So even the companies that build great technology, that works, and there's studies over and over that show dynamic creative works, then get folded into larger media companies where they don't become standalone independent tech providers. So why is that? So why is it that innovation is so hard in online advertising today? So first, this market is fragmented. Just look at the Terry Kawaja slide, look at all of you here. There's hundreds and hundreds of media companies on both sides of the buy and sell side, and there's also, of course, hundreds of technology companies. Part of that thanks to a significant investment from the VC industry into online advertising. And that fragmentation makes for a very hard and difficult sales process. So who here has gone out and tried to sell a standalone tech and actually, has felt some of these challenges, right? It's hard. You have to bang on a lot of doors, you have to hire a lot of salespeople, and that makes it very expensive. Now, the second thing is the integration costs are incredibly high. And that's because the ad servers were built 10 years ago. They were built before APIs were commonplace. And it's very hard to layer on an API after the fact. And this makes integration into someone's existing media buy or into an existing publisher very challenging. So you've got a high sales cycle, you've got very high integration costs. And the net result is that for buyers and sellers to test and experiment and play with new innovative technologies is really difficult. So the result is what these buyers and sellers do is they simply limit what they can test to what they can justify the high integration cost. And this is why, even though we see all of these companies entering the space, we see all these companies on the Terry Kawaja charts, there's not that many independent technology companies. And I bet you many of you here have had an idea and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we tried to layer on contextual data on this campaign tomorrow? And well, guess what? You can't just do that. Because you got to call somebody, you got to buy the technology, you got to then get it integrated into your actual system. So I claim pure technology companies are struggling. I don't think there's very few companies today that are pure technology that are having a lot of success. You need a critical mass that is very hard to achieve, and we know this personally. For 4 years, it took us 4 years to get all of you in a room here. It's a lot of hard work to sell pure tech. And the result is that what most companies actually start to do is they package technology together with media. So rather than actually saying, I'm going to be an independent tech and I'm going to sell you my tech, I wrap it together with media, because when I sell an I/O or when I sell inventory that I use my technology or I layer on my data, whatever my special secret sauce is, that's something where there's low friction. It's a process we know. It's an insertion order. We buy media, we throw around some ad tags, and we can test quickly. So, and a lot of companies are starting to do this today. But this mediology, right, this media tech company, yes, I decided to throw a new word up there today just because we need more. I thought of doing a 3-letter acronym, but I thought we had enough of those. But these media tech companies actually have some inherent challenges, right? The first one is that the scale of the media tech company is dependent on people at some point, because you need people to execute those media insertion orders and buys, and people don't scale as nicely as servers do. 2, when you're building technology and it's your in-house team that's actually operating it, there's a different quality standard, right? When you build a quick tool internally, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if it breaks every now and then, it's okay, your team understands, you can set those expectations. If you have someone writing you a check, and not doing wire payments, because we don't have them yet in the United States, if someone's writing you a check, the standard is higher. And if your tech breaks, you get screamed at. And it takes actually significantly more effort to build technology for a broader market as a standalone product than it does for your internal team to facilitate that media with. And so a lot of these companies have this constant challenge. They could roll something out in 2 or 3 weeks for their internal team, but to roll it out for an independent client would take months. And there's an inherent challenge in the product roadmap, and many companies struggle trying to get the standalone technology to be as mature as what they could do with their in-house team. And last but not least, mediology doesn't truly solve the problem of the buyers. Buyers really just want to be able to layer on tech independently from their existing businesses. And I've got a funny example here of companies that try to solve the challenges with people. At least one DSP, won't name names, and at least one, there's probably more, actually had programmatic access to Google AdX before AdX had an API. Does that make sense? You could log into their UI and traffic an AdX campaign, but AdX had no API yet. There was no way to push that. So what they did is they had people behind the scenes who would take the campaign you upload in their system and then actually go and traffic it into the AdX interface. It's a really nice way to get to market and a way to get some of these campaigns actually running. So how do we actually fix this, right? So what can we do to make this better? And where I come back to, and I've been struggling with this problem for 4 years, is that the ad server is the core platform where buyers and sellers do business. Whether you're a trading desk, whether you're an advertiser or a publisher, the ad server is where we operate. And for technology to be able to seamlessly integrate, for tech companies to be able to be standalone companies and not to have to package things with media, the ad server has to change. And so I have a new thesis, which is that the ad server should be API-driven. It should be a platform. It should be a core portal to a multitude of the media companies using it for their in-house business and all of the data and technology providers. So the ad server is what should be the platform that brings all this together. And I think to date, a lot of companies, well, no ad server has really accomplished this. And I think if we do this, if we make it API-driven, we drop the cost of integration. Because if there's open APIs, I integrate once with the ad server, and now I can sell to any client using that technology. If I have all these media companies on one ad server, well, you almost have an instant sales list, right? Once you do the integration, you know, right, and buyers know that, well, here we go. There's 100 companies using this ad server. They can instantly turn it on. And then last but not least, by having all the tech integrated, buyers of technology can actually start to experiment with it. So I've been imagining a world, a better world. So I was thinking about the ad server. I've been thinking about how the ad server is supposed to be this core platform, how it's not. And I've been trying to get to a world where buyers or sellers could click a button and integrate in contextual ad, right? Where buyers or data providers or anybody can actually select on the fly what companies they want to use this. So they can pick up their Terry Kawaja chart and say, for this campaign or for this site, for this today, I want to test this, and I want to find the best of breed. So I'm imagining a world where we could actually do this, which the reality is today is actually way too difficult. And so the secret is, we've actually been thinking about this for a while. It's been in our name since 2007. It's not actually a coincidence. We've been talking about applications. We've been building a nexus of where all this comes together. And what we'd like to announce today is that we're actually, for the first time, opening up apps for online advertising. So we are launching our app marketplace. And what we've done is taken the culmination of all of our work of building open, API-driven ad serving technologies, and we've added the last piece. We've opened up our entire interfaces so that our partners, our vendors, can integrate their technologies seamlessly for our clients. What that means is today, starting today, inside of our product, you can log in, you can click a button, and select a contextual provider. You can log in, you can click a button, and you can select a data provider. And it's not just, they've pre-selected some segments. This is actually just like on your iPhone or on your Facebook, right? How many of you guys have used an iPhone and said, let me install Yelp so I can figure out what the restaurant is? We're trying to bring that same simplicity to the online advertising world and let people do exactly that and say, let me try contextual for this campaign because I think it's going to work well for this specific advertiser. So, starting today, zero integration, we've dropped the cost. And last but not least, what we're doing is we're future-proofing our platform. Look, building scale technology is difficult. We see 15 billion ads a day today, and it takes a lot of time and energy to do that. And at the same point, we see hundreds of companies doing really cool, innovative things. And we know we can't build everything from our clients, and we don't want our clients to be stuck with just the technology we build for them. We want Mike Seaman from CPX to build his own attribution engine and be able to plug that in as his own app. And that can be proprietary to their company, or they could open it up to the rest of the marketplace if they like. And so what we're doing here is we're future-proofing our platform. We're enabling innovation, constant innovation on our platform. We're letting you guys who use our platform work and pick and choose who you work with. And I think for the first time, what we're doing is we're enabling technology companies to sell purely standalone technology because you don't have to package it with media. You can actually go in and build best-of-breed technology. So who here would like to see apps in action? Yes? A little bit of excitement? All right. So I'm delighted to introduce, we have Paparo. He joined us 6, 7 months ago. Just 8, 9? It's been a while. It's been an absolute pleasure working with Ari. We've partnered together over the past 7 months to roll this out, and he's doing a live demo, actually, with a couple of our partners.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you so much. There you go.
So not 1 live demo, 4 live demos. So the odds of this working 100% are virtually nil. I'm so excited about apps. I'm like about to freak out and do a Balmer and be like, developers. But I'm not going to do that. Basically, Mike mentioned best-of-breed technologies. I've been working with advertisers and publishers in the ad tech space for a long time, and there's always this trade-off. They're like, this partner does something better, I want to work with them, or this partner does something a little bit different, it works for one of my clients. Except there's always this trade-off where you say, what's the cost of working with the best-of-breed versus working with the unified solution, right? There is a cost, right? And so that's really what we're trying to accomplish here, is to break that trade-off. So you can choose the best-of-breed. We think every advertiser should be able to work with the best rich media vendor, the best data provider. Publishers should be able to work with the best forecasting provider. It's a big vision. And what we're talking about today is really just the first step in that vision. So with that, I want to welcome to the stage 3 of our featured AppNexus apps developers. Mark Zagorski, the CEO of eXelate, Philipp Pieper, the CEO of Proximic, and Kevin O'Connor, the VP of Integration of Lotame. All right. So I'll start it off by talking about the app marketplace. So I hate to disagree with Mike. It never happens in real life. But we're actually available tomorrow. So starting tomorrow morning, the AppNexus app marketplace will be available to all AppNexus buyers and sellers. It's a really easy-to-use, intuitive type UI where you can select from the vendors that are there. We have 8 vendors launching starting tomorrow, and we're going to dive into this. So let's go to the demo. All right, so here we are in the AppNexus console, which is the UI that the majority of our buyers and sellers use. There's a new nav bar for apps. We can click on it. to get to the apps marketplace. In addition, you could see already there's quick links now in the left nav. So any of the apps that have been installed in your account, you're one click away from accessing. We have 8 launch partners, mostly in the data and contextual world, but we're absolutely going to be expanding into a lot of other different segments. So let's say we want to get more information about the eXelate app or the Lotame app. So you click on it, you find out more about what the app does, whether you need a business relationship with the other party or whether it's just a click to install type thing. And then there's one little interesting thing that might be a little bit hard to see from out there. There's this little grid of X's over there. And I just want to talk about that for a second. Basically, what that's saying is what access will this app have to your account? So what we're doing here is we're streamlining the API provisioning process. So in the past, if you wanted to integrate a vendor with your ad-serving API, you really need to do it yourself. You need to basically give them a login, give them access, restrict their access, monitor it, et cetera. That's one of the key things here. We're not just integrating the UI, but we're provisioning narrow access. So in the case of Lotame, they have to read and write segments, because obviously it's a segment-driven business, right? If we integrate a rich media vendor, maybe they'll have to write out creatives or edit creatives. And we're provisioning that while also giving our customers the control to know what access is being given. And you click to install, and it's one click, and then it's there in your nav bar, and it's entirely integrated. These are all standalone apps, meaning they all have their own screens with single sign-on. But moving forward, we can integrate apps into any part of our workflow, so it's a piece of the integration that a user sees when they do a particular activity. So first app that will be shown will be eXelate. I talked earlier about the fact that many of our initial apps are in the data and contextual area. One of the things I want to point out, though, is that because we give the entire screen real estate to these developers, we're not just summarizing their data. We allow them to differentiate and say what's special about their workflow, their data, their approach. So I'd like to welcome Mark Zagorski to demonstrate the eXelate app, and he'll show what's differentiated.
All right, thanks very much. Just want to let everyone know, I usually freestyle when I'm on the mic. I have to use a script today because I was told by my tech team, do not go off script or it will break. So, no, I'm joking. Anyways, great introduction. eXelate, just for those of you who don't know, we are the engine that powers over 60 billion data transactions each month for over 200 marketers and advertisers that reach over 300 million uniques worldwide. Put quite simply, eXelate is about high performance, proprietary data made easy to use. And that's why we're so excited about this platform AppNexus has built. AppNexus has been a partner of ours for the last year, and now to have the ability to really open up our relationship with them on the apps platform, it's very exciting. So basically what we're going to see today is we're going to take a look at how we can search and browse eXelate's premium and branded data sets, set unique user overlap estimates and pricing for any segment, and select segments and create custom segmentation and apply it to campaigns within AppNexus's interface. So without further ado, let's get started. And we'll see as it comes up on the screen, here is the application itself. We'll quickly roll over and look at, we can build out certain segment trees that will roll out and show not only the overlap in real time against AppNexus audience, but the prices of the segments as well. So what's really cool here is that we can actually do a quick search on any keyword. So for example, let's take a look at Ford. It's going to pull up all the Ford specific people in market for Ford autos that we have data on. And let's say this is a campaign that's going to be targeting young, hip car buyers looking for a sporty sedan or a vehicle. So we'll take a click on the Ford Fiesta, in which we have, or I'm sorry, the Ford Fusion, in which we have over almost 2 million uniques to take a look at. And let's look at looking at the Ford Mustang as well. We can add those into a segment. So if you want to click on Add to a segment, and we can either do any or all. And what that actually indicates is whether or not a user belongs to both of those segments or either of those segments. Once we've been able to build that segment, so we're able to see that the any or all, we can actually apply it to a campaign. This is great, because very simply make it actionable. We'll apply it to a campaign, and we'll pull up what campaigns are actually available for this advertiser. Pull up the campaigns. We can apply it directly to the campaign in real time, make it targetable, hit the apply button, and we're all set. And in this case, it's a great, simple way to enact the data, see what the overlap is against our audience segments, see what the pricing is, put it live, and put it live quickly. So we're very excited about this application. Put quite simply, eXelate is about actionable data, and put quite simply, this application makes that data much more actionable in a much more simpler fashion. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Mark. 2 demos down, 2 to go. So next, I want to bring to the stage Philipp Pieper, the CEO of Proximic. Philipp claims that when Brian O'Kelly first saw Proximic, his exact quote was, "That's some cool shit." So we're hoping to build on that legacy.
Well, thank you so much. RTB has always struck me as actually having the wrong acronym. When we look at real-time bidding, actually, when talking to media planners, we see it's all about liquidity. And that's what they're excited about, the controls around liquidity to get access to liquid inventory and actually make sense of it. So it's not about the pricing function so much as about actually investing in the real assets. And to know what you're investing in, you actually need to know what things are about. So at Proximic, we contribute to actually 2 dimensions. It's the page level, understanding very holistically what the page is about, both from a perspective of what I positively want to target against, so contextual relevance, as well as from the perspective, negatively, I don't want to be associated with certain segments, so brand protection. But the second big dimension that many people don't associate with contextual relevance is actually using contextual signals to define audiences, because these are very unstructured, powerful data sets to be able to target against. So what we did was this year, we actually went out and talked to media planners, not so sophisticated buyers, and we discovered that actually it is highly complex to get these things in place. And we actually got the call from AppNexus at a point in time when we were thinking about initiatives to simplify things anyway. And what was striking was that actually the urge was there to actually do a couple of clicks and just test and just interact. So when we actually now built the application for AppNexus called Proximic Agents, we figured out that basically it's important to have a media planner define and combine data sets and have that agent go out and determine the value and the quality of different inventory types that match that kind of criteria set. So let's go into the application. What you see here is basically a very rough overview of certain agents that I've built so far. So in this case, I've built aftermarket products, premium cars, recreational sports, and foreclosure attorneys. Maybe that fits to the earlier presentation, because it might be an opportunity for some of us in this room. So when we actually go into creating an agent, what it does is it allows you, in simplistic terms, to actually combine different data sets. So on the first level, you'll see that you can choose IAB categories. So the standard that has been defined by the IAB as contextual categories. You can actually go maybe into one of the categories, top-level categories. You can add it to the stack that you have selected. What you see on the left side is actually you see inventory that goes against it. And with the choosing of different elements, you'll get actually analytics in real time, what goes against it. So even the combination of different segments allows you to see immediately as a media planner, how much am I choosing? Am I going too far with specifying what I want? Is it something I need to specify further or pull back? So really important feedback loop, because otherwise you actually put something into the campaign, you let it run, and then you're asking at the end of the day what has happened, and you actually have wasted time and we have wasted efficiency. So the second element is actually that, again, mentioning sort of we actually allow sort of the negative elements to be chosen as well. So I want to avoid, for example, brand protection to be, I want to avoid adult content. So you add that to the stack and you get basically the same kind of forecasting. So that's a very simplistic use case. When you hit save, it saves the agent. It, for now, gives you an agent segment ID that you then can actually target in the campaign. It's going to be as seamless as Mark showed to actually implement that into the campaign directly. So let me lead you to a second use case. I think something that resonated really well with the early product users that we demonstrated this to. So you'll see in the drop-down menu something called custom categories. And we found that actually the IAB categorization is great, but actually many of our customers had more specific requirements. So in this case, Emily typed fly fishing or fishing. And immediately, there's an auto-suggest that comes up with relevant category segments that actually right now are relevant within the AppNexus inventory. So I choose fly fishing and recreational fishing, and the merge and the nexus of those two categories, again on the right side, shows immediate feedback on how much inventory is available. Now in this case, it's 146,000 impressions that run every day against that segment, maybe not huge scale, but for this particular advertiser, for this particular category, highly relevant. So what we did here was actually make things simple, and to close with a quote, we don't want humans to do the machine's job. In this case, it's really important to have you being relieved from that job to make a site list selection, go out and actually make these selections and let it work for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Philip. Philip mentioned Emily. You may wonder what that is. Emily is our little elf who's running this entire program, without whom we would definitely not be here. Last but not least, I want to introduce Kevin O'Connor from Lotame. Lotame has been working with this program since it was just an idea. They've gone through every version of this integration. They've helped us throughout the whole time we've been working on this. And they also have some really exciting integrations that took this kind of the next level. So I'm really excited to see what Kevin's got to show. Thanks.
Thank you. Good morning. In case you're not familiar with Lotame, we're a data management platform. Our product is called Crowd Control, and we target publishers, networks, and marketers. We've been in the audience segmentation and targeting business for more than 5 years now. We believe our app provides you with a smarter way to buy media on the exchange, and the demo we're about to show you shows you how easy it is to build first-party or third-party audiences, seamlessly translate those into segments targetable on the exchange, and finally gain some valuable insights on your audience. So with that, welcome to the Lotame Audience Builder, or as the lab as we like to call it. So all data flows, it gets ingested into Crowd Control as behaviors. So whether that data is demographic in nature or the interests and actions you see across your site or collection of sites, everything comes in as behaviors. And from there, it gets organized and categorized into the hierarchical structures you see in the left menu items. At this point, users have the ability to build as complex a Boolean expression as they need to meet their needs. We'll keep ours simple here and just add restaurants. And there's two things I'd like to point out. The first of which I'm particularly proud of. The reach estimate you see here in the bottom right is a reach that you can expect to see on the AppNexus inventory. It's based off of yesterday's data. And the second one is the ability to augment your audience data with the purchasable buttons you see up there in the green. Okay, so with a quick save, you get a summary, provide a name for your audience. And unfortunately, you have to enter your AppNexus credentials. We're still working that out. It's a little bit of a kink. And you'll be prompted here with something that should look very familiar to anyone who's created a segment within AppNexus. All right, one more click here. And now we have seamlessly created the segment, and it's available for targeting across the exchange. So one last feature I'd like to point out is the insights you can gain from our audience profile report, which is back in our app. But maybe, sorry. Okay, this is a newly created segment, so I apologize. We weren't sure if we were going to have enough time for that. So anyway, if you'd like to learn more about crowd control, please flag one of us down. I'm joined by some of my colleagues today. We are thrilled to be a launch partner in the apps program, And I want to say a big thank you to the AppNexus team for making this a reality for our clients.
Thanks, Kevin. So I want to quickly highlight the other apps that are available today who are not on stage. First of all, contextual data provider that has some unique concepts around creating lists of sites around concepts instead of keywords. Brillig, a data provider that's a co-op of 6,000 different data sources that you can mix and match to meet your campaign needs. Targus Info, a specialist in bringing online and offline demographics together. Evidon and Trustee, both of the leaders in the privacy world, where we are currently with the first launch, launching with single sign-on, but we expect to be able to add the privacy icon to your creatives automatically in a future release. And finally, we expect Crystal Semantics, Blue Kai, and Peer 39 apps to be ready in the near future. They're under development, but weren't available for the launch tomorrow. So with that, I want to thank all of our presenters, as well as all the app providers that have done a lot of work to get to this point for the launch. Let's give everyone a big hand. So what's next here? So we talked a little bit about best-of-breed technologies, about how we do integrations and APIs. This launch is really just the first step. We're focused on the behavioral and contextual vendors who are probably the ones that get the most immediate impact from having integrations, as you saw from those great demos. But there's a lot more to come. So I think it's pretty obvious. I have to use the Terry Kawaja slide. Where's Terry? I owe him a buck. Right? It's a buck every time, right? Basically, what I want to point out that I think most people don't pay attention to this slide is a symbol of fragmentation and a symbol of confusion. But what I want to point out are those little black arrows. You see there's those little arrows everywhere? Think of those arrows as cost. Like every time you connect two vendors, there's cost, there's friction, there's complexity, there's chances for error. And that's really what we're trying to fix with this program. So ultimately, we think that problem goes away, and you can have a lot of vendors. You can have a crowded space, because everyone differentiates, and it becomes easy in a marketplace to choose the vendors you want to use and not have to worry about those little black arrows. So I hope you won't think I'm presumptuous, but I want to pay honor to Steve Jobs, the patron saint of product managers, by having one more thing, right? The one more thing is that this isn't just for vendors. Every single AppNexus client can build their own apps. So we talked earlier with CPX, who's joining our platform. They're building a custom dashboard. They have thousands and thousands of publishers who log in every day to see their revenue, see their stats, understand what's going on. So why shouldn't they be able to get CPX's point of view on how they're doing, not AppNexus's? You know, we'll still give them the data on our reports. CPX is building a custom dashboard that looks great, by the way, that gives them all the information that the publishers who are their clients need. For an advertiser or an agency or DSP, you can have custom workflow. A lot of our clients have already built custom workflow, but it's in a different system, a different UI. They have to build a lot of API access. Why not just have a new tab in the AppNexus system that speeds your employees' time to get up to speed, has one less login, one less click, et cetera. So this is available. I encourage everyone who is a client to think right now, like, how could I use this? How could I help either my internal clients or my external clients to have a better experience, to have more unified experience? Mike's talked about bringing the app into AppNexus. Right now, this is available. Go to appnexus.com/apps if you want to build one. There's a little application process. And then if you're a client, contact your account manager. It'll be available tomorrow, and I hope you're all as excited as I am about this. Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
All right. I'll tell you one more little vignette about this. We made this available to our employees a couple days ago just to see what they would do. And last night I saw our first ever AppNexus console dashboard. One of our client services people said, I'm so tired of AppNexus not having pretty dashboards. I'm going to build them. And so if you're one of his clients, I won't tell you who it is, but if you're the small subset of clients where he's your account manager or services guy or whatever, you're going to have a cool little dashboard. So don't know if he wants a bonus or a raise or what, but he's not getting one if he's watching. Because we're going to steal that and use it everywhere else.